Is Team USA now the top nation in hockey? We'll get to all of the updates from the four nations heading into the final day of round robin action. We'll get to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Unanswered Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. I think all your support would never be able to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below and hopefully a comment down in the comment section below. Would love to hear your guys' opinion on all of this. We're nearing 500 subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below. Really helps out the channel. So in today's video, we're looking at the four nations face-off. It started off last week on Wednesday. We've seen each team play 2 games. We'll get to the updates there and what we are looking at heading into the last day of round robin action. So we'll start off with what happened over on Wednesday. It was the beginning of the tournament. Canada played Sweden in a late night game in Montreal. It was a really solid start to the game, really fast-paced action. Just a minute into the game, Sweden took a penalty, and it was crisp passing that led to a Canadian goal. Nathan MacKinnon opened the scoring in the tournament. Just a couple of minutes later, Brad Marchand will make it 2-0 Team Canada before Sweden even got a shot off. It would stay that way, I think, going into the first intermission. And the second intermission, Team Sweden would make it 2-1 thanks to a goal from Jonas Brodin, the wild defenseman, wound up getting Team Sweden on the board. Then later on in the second period, Sidney Crosby would have a good pass to Mark Stone scoring for Team Canada to give them a 3-1 lead. I think that's the way it went into the third period. And in the third period, the Canadians would give up 2. As usual, when you usually watch Binnington with the St. Louis Blues, he gives up at least 1 bad goal a game. He did again in this game. Sweden would score twice. First, a fantastic shot from Adrian Kempe, and then a nice goal from Joel Eriksson Ek would tie this game up, and that's the way it would head into overtime, where in overtime, thanks to this goal here from Mitch Marner, Local Score Sportsnet, Team Canada would come away with a 4-3 overtime victory over Team Sweden. This was a high energy, high paced, fast, entertaining game. I absolutely loved watching it. The NHL should do more of this. I really love to see it. It's a good thing that they're planning on doing a World Cup of Hockey in 2028. Like, this was amazing and high energy game. I think you guys all loved that too. Points wise in this tournament, it's 3 points for a regulation win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 point for an overtime loss, and as usual, 0 points for regulation loss. So it's the 3-2-1-0 point system instead of the 2-1-0 point system. So the overtime win gave Canada 2 points to open up the tournament, and Sweden 1 point to open up the tournament. That led into Thursday's game between the Finns and the United States. Another really interesting game. Now, the Finnish team probably has the worst D-core in the tournament. Like, everyone has a lot of experienced NHLers. After the Heiskanen, Halkin-Palmer's line injury, that blue line is really battered for the Finnish team, so I thought this would be a blowout. But the first 40 minutes were actually quite good for the Finnish team. They actually opened the scoring thanks to Henri Jokiharju, who was one of those replacements for those injured players. And it was actually really close, really tightly contested game. There was a lot of rough stuff involved. When you have the Kachucks on your team, as Team USA does, you're going to have those rough stuff. Team USA would answer back thanks to Brady Tkachuk to tie it up at 1. It would stay that way until late in the second period. This goal here from Matthew Boldy, Faber took a really good shot. Boldy had a nice tip. It gave the US a 2-1 lead heading into the third period. The 2 wild teammates looking up on a goal. And after that, it was all United States. 4 third period goals, 2 from Matthew Tkachuk, 1 from Brady Tkachuk, and another from Jake Gensel that blew the game wide open, and the US absolutely destroyed the Finnish team 6-1. The bruises on the blue line definitely showing in that game. So it's an intriguing game, but the US with 3 points from Matthew Tkachuk and Zach Werenski and a couple of goals from Brady Tkachuk led them to a 6-1 domination of Finland. So US opened the tournament with 3 points with the regulation win, and Finland with 0 points. So that was a really bad start there for Finland. So after the first game, it was 3 points US, 2 points Canada, 1 point Sweden, and 0 points for Finland. Remember, only the top 2 teams move on to the final. There is no third place game in this tournament. It's just the top 2 teams, so you have to be on the top 2. So that led us into Saturday's game, a doubleheader. First, it was the Finnish team taking on the Swedish team, the couple of Nordic rivals. The start of the game was a really start for Team Sweden, as Mika Zibanejad would open the scoring. It was a really good start, but then they would score a couple of goals, Team Finland would. First, it was Anton Lundell on a Panther connection from Lewis Stroinen would tie the game up at 1, and then a late power play goal from Mikko Rantanen will give the Finland team a 2-1 lead, which was really good stuff there for Finland. That was it for Philip Gustafsson after playing the entire game against Team Canada. In the first period against Finland, Gustafsson was out, so he was replaced by Linus Ullmark for Team Sweden. And after Ullmark got in, that's the second period, Team Sweden would play a lot better. They would score a tying goal thanks to Rasmus Dahlin, who was in front of the net. poked it in. Really good stuff there. And then Erik Karlsson would give Team Sweden the lead with a beautiful shot. And then just before the second period finished, Alexander Barkov, another Panther who's playing for Team Finland, would score a nice tip past Dahlmark to tie it up at 3. It was a really high entertaining game. It was also a really high entertaining third period, but there was no goals. So for the second straight time, Sweden would go to an overtime game. And in overtime, this goal here from Mikael Granlund in overtime, or Square Sportsnet, would wind up winning Team Finland the game. A very impressive victory for Team Finland, as the Panthers, Mikula, Luostarinen, Lundell, Barkov helped Team Finland win 4-3. Laine got a couple of assists in this game too, and it was a really important game because that got Finland with an overtime victory up to 2 points to tie Canada, while Sweden with an overtime loss is also up to 2 points to tie Canada. So that put a lot of pressure on Saturday's late night game between the States and Canada, and boy was it an exciting game. I'm a Canadian, so I'm cheering for Team Canada. I know there's a lot of United States people who are cheering for the States, so it was a really intriguing game, one of the best games I've ever seen. And in the first 9 seconds, we had 3 fights. Matthew Tkachuk fought Brandon Hagel, Brady Tkachuk fought Sam Bennett, and JT Miller fought Colton Parayko. Within the first 9 seconds, we had 3 fights. This is a heated rivalry and something that we absolutely needed to see. So a couple minutes after all those fights happened, Connor McDavid would streak down the middle and score a beautiful backhand goal past Connor Hellebuyck to make it a 1-0 game for Canada. And then about 5-10 minutes later, near the end of the first period, Jake Gensel would score on Jordan Binnington. This is another bad goal from Binnington. You're going to get one of these goals every single game. So Binnington led another bad one that tied it up at 1. This would be the way it would end the first period and go into the second period. Lots of rough stuff in this game. Whole bunch of hits, some scraps in front of the net. Like, this game was heated. And then Dylan Larkin in the second period would score this goal, an absolute laser from the Red Wings captain, would put Team USA up 2-1 and take the crowd in Montreal out of the game. Then in the third period, Canada would push, they would get some opportunities. Nothing would get past Hellebuyck. They pulled a goalie, continued to get some opportunities, but the United States, Jake Gensel's second of the game, would put it to bed with the empty netter, and Team USA beats Team Canada. This is actually the first time in international competition Team Canada has lost with Sidney Crosby in 26 games. They were 26-0 in the previous 26 games with Crosby on Team Canada, and now they've lost. So US has bragging rights right now. With that win, they've also won twice in regulation, up to 6 points. No team can catch them. They've already won the round robin tournament and have already booked their tickets to Thursday's final in the Four Nations. With the regulation loss, though, Canada remains at 2 points. So that's an interesting scenario. As it sits right now, entering Monday's game action of the round robin tournament, Team USA is sitting high and pretty at 6 points and locked into the Four Nations final, while Team Canada, Team Finland, and Team Sweden all have 2 points. Team Canada and Finland with wins in overtime and a regulation loss, and Team Sweden with 2 overtime losses. So remember, only the top 2 teams get into the final. So it's an interesting scenario. Here are the scenarios for today's game. So today in the morning action with Canada-Finland. As of right now, Team Canada has opened the scoring, and Connor McDavid has given them a 1-0 lead. So it's Canada versus Finland. If this game finishes in regulation, the winner of the game will end up playing the US on Thursday in the Four Nations final. If Finland wins in regulation, Sweden can only tie them, and Sweden lost to Finland, so that would put Finland in the final. If Canada wins in regulation, Canada beats Sweden. Even if Sweden wins in regulation, they both be at 5 points. Canada would have the tiebreak because they beat Sweden, so Canada would be in the final. The only way Sweden gets into the final is if this Canada-Finland game finishes in overtime and Sweden wins regulation. They would have a point more than whoever wins the Canada-Finland game, and they will be locked into the second spot in the Four Nations. So it'll be an interesting way to finish it out. As we talked about, Canada's winning 1-0 right now. It's not a guarantee that that's going to be the way it finishes. And like we said, we're going to have another game recap video of this on Friday, talking about how these 2 games went today and the Thursday final went. So an interesting thing there, but as we know right now, US has locked their spots at the final, and we'll have to wait and see today if Canada, Finland, or Sweden winds up joining them. And if Canada does, you better believe this has some potential to be deja vu of 2010 Winter Olympics, where Canada lost to the US in the round robin tournament but beat US in the final. So as much as this may be a little bit premature, we're not done, USA, and Canada's coming for the Four Nations Face-Off Cup. So definitely we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Remember, if this current Canada-Finland game finishes in regulation, winner will go to the final. If this one goes into overtime and Sweden wins regulation, Sweden goes to the final. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But that's the update for Four Nations Face-Off. off. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. How did you like this tournament so far? Do you think it's something that we've absolutely needed? And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and your first impressions on it down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video. If you're to subscribe below. Thank all your support. We're to you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so you can also discuss in this video. I also blog to news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. I'll link that down in the description below. And come see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.